The outer edge of the Orion expanse was quiet. Too quiet, thought Ethan Calder, as he sat in the cockpit of the salvage ship Aurora's Edge. Space stretched endlessly in front of him, a dark ocean dotted with faint glimmers of distant stars. Normally, this sector had a few drifting cargo ships, old mining stations, or occasional rogue traders. But today, the sensors picked up something far different. "Captain," said Lyra, the ship's pilot and Ethan's longtime friend, her voice tense. "You need to see this. I've never seen a signature this strong. It's enormous, and it's alive." Ethan leaned forward, squinting at the display. The sensor readouts pulsed erratically, a rhythm almost like a heartbeat. But it wasn't a heartbeat. Not exactly, it was something else. Something ancient, something that should not exist anymore. "Alive?" Ethan asked, raising an eyebrow. "You mean a life form? Or a ship?" Lyra swallowed. "I think it's a ship. But not just any ship. It's massive. Way beyond anything humans or known alien races have ever built. And it's calling out. I think it's asking for help." Ethan felt a thrill run through him. This was the moment every human explorer dreamed of. Discovering the unknown, encountering something beyond imagination. But something deeper stirred in him too, a sense of caution. Old legends spoke of ships like this, starships from ancient wars abandoned and forgotten for thousands of years, sometimes carrying intelligence that was dangerous. "Set a course," he said finally, his fingers moving over the controls with precise ease. "We are going in." The journey to the signal's origin took hours. The Aurora's Edge drifted closer to the coordinates, revealing a sight Ethan would never forget. There, floating in the void like a forgotten god, was a starship so massive that it defied comprehension. Its hull stretched for kilometers, long and jagged, with scars that told the story of battles fought long ago. Its surface shimmered faintly in the distant starlight as if the metal itself were breathing. Lyra's voice was quiet. "It's beautiful. And terrifying." Ethan's heart pounded. "It's asking for help," he murmured. He had a strange feeling that this was no ordinary ship. Ordinary machines did not call out. Ordinary machines did not reach across light years to plead with a human. The Aurora's Edge slowly approached the ship's outer hull. Ethan studied the surface. The hull was damaged, with cracks that exposed glowing circuits beneath and panels missing entirely. Bits of debris floated nearby, remnants of something long destroyed. But the ship itself seemed alive. The faint pulsing on the sensors grew stronger as Ethan drew near. "Ethan," Lyra said, her voice tight with a mixture of awe and fear. "Do you hear it?" Ethan nodded. He did not hear words, not yet. But there was a rhythm, a pattern, a sense of thought behind the signals. It felt like the ship was reaching out directly to him. The pulsing signals were data, yes, but more than data. They carried emotion, desperation, and urgency. He whispered, "It's asking me to fix it." Lyra glanced at him wide-eyed. "You think it knows? It knows we're human?" Ethan did not answer immediately. He felt something in the pit of his stomach, a pull he could not explain. He had worked on machines his entire life, but this was different. This was something alive, something that had existed for centuries waiting for someone like him. The salvage crew prepared the boarding shuttle. It was a long journey across the hull, but they had no choice. The ship's gravity field was faint but inconsistent, requiring careful navigation. Ethan was first to step onto the surface. As he moved, he felt a vibration through the soles of his boots. The metal beneath him seemed to hum in recognition, and the sensors on his suit picked up bursts of energy that mimicked a heartbeat. "This is incredible," Ethan said, more to himself than anyone else. "It's alive." The ship's interior was worse than Ethan had expected. Corridors were twisted and broken. Lights flickered with unstable energy, and panels of alien technology hummed faintly, some still functional, others completely dead. Yet through the chaos there was a voice, a fragmented, glitching voice carried through the ship's internal network. "Help me, human." Ethan froze. He was used to reading alien languages, but this was a hybrid of code, data pulses, and voice modulation. He could understand it almost instinctively. I can hear you," he said softly. "My name is Ethan, I can help." The voice paused. There was a long silence filled with faint clicks and whirs. Then it replied more clearly. "Ethan, repair or drift?" "Forever." Lyra's voice came through the comms. "Ethan, are you sure about this?" You don't even know what it is fully capable of. It could be dangerous. Ethan didn't answer. He felt a connection, a responsibility. The ship had been abandoned, forgotten, left to decay. Yet it had reached out, and somehow it knew he could understand it. Somehow it trusted him, and he could not turn away. He set his tools down, studying the nearest control panel. The technology was unlike anything human-made. Panels shifted under his hands. Holographic readouts flickered with alien characters, and circuits glowed with an intelligence that seemed almost conscious. Ethan frowned. This would take patience, skill, and creativity. Alien engineering was precise, efficient, but inflexible. Humans, however, humans could improvise. This is going to take time, he muttered, and I don't even know where to start. The ship pulsed again, a soft rhythmic glow that seemed to echo his own heartbeat. A message appeared in his HUD, simple and urgent. Trust, human. Ethan blinked. I trust you, he said aloud. He did not know why, but the words felt right. Hours passed. Ethan worked methodically, navigating the labyrinthine corridors, patching damaged circuits, and rerouting power to essential systems. Lyra and the rest of the salvage crew watched from the shuttle, communicating through short-range comms, providing tools and support. Every time Ethan repaired a subsystem, the ship responded, its voice growing stronger, more coherent. You understand me, it said at one point, its tone almost cautious. No others could, only humans. Ethan smiled faintly. We're resourceful. We're stubborn, and sometimes we can see solutions no one else can. The ship seemed to hum in agreement. Panels lit up. Corridors shifted slightly as if making way for him. It was as if the ship itself were alive, moving subtly around him, acknowledging his presence. As night fell across the sector, a warning came from the sensors. Ethan stiffened. On the long-range scanners, several faint blips appeared. Alien ships, small, agile, and fast. Their trajectory suggested they were heading straight for Titanus, the abandoned starship. They've detected it, Ethan said, his voice steady but tense. Or, they've been looking for it all along. Lyra's voice trembled. Ethan, maybe we should leave. This could be a trap. Ethan shook his head. No, we can't leave it. It called for help. We have to try. He turned back to the nearest control panel. The ship's voice pulsed again, this time urgent. Danger. Approaching. Human must repair. Ethan's hands moved faster. He patched the final circuits for the power core, rerouted auxiliary energy to stabilize life support systems, and rewrote part of the ship's damaged AI code. The ship shivered as if stretching after centuries of slumber. Thank you, Titanus whispered clearly for the first time since it awakened. Human saved me. Ethan allowed himself a moment of relief. He had done it. He had revived a ship that no one else could. But relief was short-lived. The alien ships were closing in, and Titanus, for all its restored systems, was still vulnerable. Ethan climbed to a higher observation deck, taking in the enormity of what he had achieved. Titanus was more than a starship. It was a fortress, a relic of an ancient war, a weapon of unimaginable power, but it had personality, intelligence, and now, trust in humanity. He turned to the sensors. The alien ships were faster, but they had yet to detect the full scope of Titanus's revival. We have a chance, Ethan muttered. If we can get its engines online, maybe we can survive this. Titanus's voice came again, stronger and clearer than ever before. Human, alone, revived. I am yours to command. But hurry, danger near. Ethan nodded. We'll do this together. I'll get your engines online and we'll show them what humans can do. As the Aurora's Edge backed away to give him space, Ethan prepared for the next stage, exploring the ship's engine room, a maze of alien machinery that had not operated in centuries. The challenge ahead was immense. Every step could be a trap, every panel a puzzle. But Ethan's mind raced with possibilities. He had tools, skills, and intuition. He had human ingenuity, and now he had Titanus's trust. He took a deep breath. The unknown waited. The galaxy's secrets were about to unfold. Ethan Calder stood before the colossal engine room of Titanus, his eyes widening as he took in the vast expanse of alien machinery. Pipes twisted like metal serpents, conduits hummed faintly, and panels flickered with energy that no human system had ever carried. The sheer scale of the ship's power core was overwhelming. It pulsed with a rhythm that felt alive, almost as if Titanus itself were breathing through its engines. This is incredible, Ethan whispered. He ran a gloved hand over a dormant control panel. Sparks flew lightly under his touch, not from danger but from recognition, Titanus responding to his presence. You understand me? Human. The ship's voice echoed through the chamber. It was clearer now, less broken, almost confident. Others tried. They failed. You succeed. Ethan allowed himself a small smile. I'll do more than succeed. I'll make you whole. Lyra's voice came over the comms, anxious but steady. Ethan, the alien fleet is closing fast. They've got long-range scanners. We're not invisible out here. How long before you can get those engines online? Ethan glanced at the pulsing energy conduits. If I can reroute auxiliary power and stabilize the core, maybe a few hours. If I do it right, we can move, maybe even fight. Fight? Lyra's tone sharpened. You're talking about fighting a fleet alone? Ethan shook his head. Not alone. Titanus isn't just a ship. It's alive, and it's learning together. We can take them by surprise. The ship pulsed in agreement. Its lights brightened along the corridors, as if guiding him to the areas that required attention first. Ethan followed the subtle cues, methodically inspecting each system. The main energy conduits were corrupted, jagged patterns of alien code disrupting the flow. Ethan knelt before the largest conduit, his fingers flying over the tools he had brought, improvising as he worked. Come on, think like them. No, think like me, he muttered. The alien coding was rigid but elegant, too precise for his human instincts to fully grasp. Yet where a computer would fail, humans could adapt. Ethan rewrote sequences on the fly, bypassing broken sections while keeping the system stable. The conduit shivered and then energy flowed more evenly. Titanus hummed, a deep vibrating sound that resonated through the engine room. Good, the ship said, voice stronger, almost approving. Human, understands. You are trusted. Ethan paused for a moment. I'm not doing this for trust. I'm doing it because it's the right thing. You're alive, and you need help. Hours passed, each moment filled with a combination of exhilaration and danger. Ethan worked tirelessly, moving from system to system, rerouting power, replacing broken circuits, and decoding alien mechanisms. Titanus responded to his efforts, subtly shifting the corridors to give him easier access, illuminating critical panels with a soft glow. It was learning him as much as he was learning it. The first real breakthrough came when Ethan managed to bring the propulsion array online. The engines groaned as they tested their capacity, sending small pulses of light through the ship's massive hull. Titanus shuddered slightly, almost as if stretching after centuries of inactivity. Oof, the ship said, voice steady but filled with awe. Human, you awakened me. Ethan allowed himself a grin. We're not done yet. There's still weapons, shields, and navigation systems to stabilize, and then we can see what you can really do. As he worked, Ethan noticed something unusual. Certain panels seemed almost alive, shifting slightly as if Titanus were breathing. The ship's AI was no longer fragmented. It was developing personality, responding to Ethan's decisions with a form of intuition. Why? Trust humans? Titanus asked suddenly, almost curiously. Ethan paused, wiping sweat from his brow. Because humans are persistent, stubborn. We don't always do things the safest way, but we get results, and we improvise when nothing else works. Maybe that's why you sensed me. Titanus hummed, a deep vibrating sound that seemed contemplative. Others could not. You different, you human. Ethan smiled faintly. I'll take that as a compliment. Suddenly the alarms blared. Red lights flashed and sensors screamed that multiple alien ships had appeared on the long-range scanners. They were faster and more agile than the humans, small battle cruisers built for speed and ambush. They've found us, Lyra said over comms, her voice tense. They're moving into attack positions. Ethan, we need to— Not yet, Ethan interrupted. If I can finish stabilizing the shields and weapons, we can show them that Titanus is no ordinary ship. Then maybe we can scare them off. Titanus pulsed again, almost impatiently. Human, must hurry. Danger, near. Ethan worked faster, moving to the weapon control arrays. The systems were ancient, powerful, and incredibly complex. Alien design was precise and ruthless. One mistake could trigger self-defense protocols or even catastrophic feedback. But Ethan had something no alien engineer had: intuition and creativity. He bypassed a corrupted targeting matrix, rerouted energy through auxiliary systems, and rewrote control codes to interface with his human tools. Almost there. Just a little more, he muttered. Hours turned into what felt like minutes. Ethan's focus was absolute, his mind moving faster than ever before. Titanus responded to every command, every adjustment. The AI began to anticipate his needs, lighting panels before he could find them, stabilizing conduits before he could reroute power. The ship was awakening, not just physically but mentally. Finally, the propulsion systems roared fully to life, sending energy surges through the ship. The weapon systems hummed with power, shields stabilized, and the control room flickered with a faint pulsing light. Titanus spoke, its voice now steady, confident, and commanding. Human. Engines online. Weapons ready. Shields operational. I am alive. Ethan leaned back, exhaling deeply. You're alive. And you're going to be a force to reckon with. At that moment, the alien fleet jumped into close range. Sensors displayed dozens of ships forming a crescent around Titanus. They had clearly underestimated the derelict ship, assuming it was powerless. They think it's just a relic, Ethan muttered. They have no idea. Titanus pulsed, almost in excitement. Human. They come to destroy, I defend, Ethan grinned. Then let's show them what humans can do together. The first volley of energy blasts streaked toward Titanus. Shields flared brilliantly, absorbing the impact. Titanus moved with surprising agility for its size, repositioning massive sections of its hull to deflect attacks. Ethan's interface allowed him to synchronize the ship's weapons with his instincts. Where aliens expected predictable patterns, he introduced improvisation. Turrets firing from unexpected angles, energy beams splitting and converging in patterns designed to confuse. Human. Creativity. Effective, Titanus said. Its voice carried pride. The battle raged for hours. Ethan guided Titanus through the chaos, dodging enemy fire and striking back with precision. The aliens adapted, but Titanus adapted faster, learning his strategies, anticipating movements, and countering attacks in ways the enemy could not predict. Lyra watched from the shuttle, her eyes wide. I've never seen anything like this, she said, awestruck. Ethan, you're not just piloting the ship, you're thinking with it. Ethan nodded, sweat dripping down his face. We're partners. That's the only way we can win. As the battle reached its peak, one of the alien ships attempted to board Titanus. Ethan quickly rerouted security protocols, activating defensive drones and energy barriers. The boarding ship was repelled before it even made contact. Titanus's hull shuddered as if triumphant. Human. Saved me again, Titanus said. Its tone was almost warm, like gratitude that a human could understand and appreciate. Ethan smiled faintly. We're just getting started. By the time the alien fleet retreated, Titanus had fully awakened. The ship pulsed with power, its voice steady and confident. Ethan could feel the immense energy humming through the ship's frame, a reminder of the potential now at their fingertips. You, human, revived me. Now I serve, not for conquest, but for protection, Titanus said. Ethan nodded. That's exactly why I brought you back. We'll be ready for whatever the galaxy throws at us. As the fleet vanished into the distance, the enormity of their achievement sank in. Titanus was no longer a derelict relic. It was alive, powerful, and aligned with humanity, not through fear or control, but through trust and cooperation. Ethan realized that this bond was something even the most advanced alien civilizations could not replicate. For the first time, he allowed himself a moment of pride. Not just for saving Titanus, but for what humans could achieve. Creativity, courage, and intelligence, these were not just words. They were the reason he had succeeded where others had failed. Titanus pulsed softly, almost contemplatively. Human, you have given me purpose again. I am yours. Together, we will face the galaxy. Ethan looked out over the endless stars. The galaxy was vast, full of threats and mysteries. But with Titanus awakened, with a partner that could match human ingenuity, he felt ready for anything. Let's get you fully operational, he said softly. Engines, weapons, shields, they're awake. But there's more. We need navigation, communication, everything. And after that, we see what you can truly do. Titanus's hum was steady, confident, and loyal. Human, lead, I follow. For the first time in centuries, Titanus was no longer abandoned. And for Ethan, the human mechanic, this was only the beginning of a journey that would change the galaxy forever. Ethan Calder stared at the vast holographic display in Titanus's control chamber. Dozens of red blips danced across the screen, moving in patterns that spelled danger. The alien fleet they had repelled earlier was regrouping, larger and faster this time. It wasn't just a scouting force, they were coming for Titanus in full. "You're sure you can handle this?" Lyra's voice crackled over the comms from the shuttle. "There's too many of them, Ethan." Ethan's eyes never left the display. "We don't have to match them in numbers. We just need strategy. And surprise." He glanced at Titanus's pulsing lights as if seeking encouragement. The ship hummed in response, almost impatiently, ready to act. "Human. Fleet approaches. Must decide." "Now," Titanus said, its voice calm and commanding. Ethan nodded. "Then let's not waste time." He began moving through the ship, issuing commands and synchronizing systems. Titanus had vast energy reserves, powerful weapon arrays and shields capable of withstanding entire fleets, but it needed guidance, human intuition, to use them efficiently. Ethan's hands flew over the consoles, rerouting power, adjusting shields, and calibrating weapons. The ship responded instantly, lights shifting, corridors realigning to support his movements. Titanus was alive, learning from him and trusting him completely. The first wave of enemy ships emerged from the void. Smaller, faster cruisers darted toward Titanus, firing high-energy projectiles that sizzled against the newly stabilized shields. Ethan guided the ship's defenses with precision. Turrets swiveled, energy beams split, and repulsor fields created unexpected deflections. "Human. Effective," Titanus said almost proudly. "Your strategies, unlike any I have observed." Ethan allowed himself a brief grin. "That's what humans do. We improvise when nothing else works." The alien fleet pressed the attack, launching coordinated strikes from multiple angles. Ethan realized that conventional defense wouldn't work. They needed deception. Using Titanus's massive size and complex hull, he manipulated the ship's energy output to create phantom duplicates, shimmering outlines that confused the enemy sensors. The aliens fired at the illusions, wasting ammunition and revealing their positions. Titanus moved like a predator, striking the fleet with sudden energy pulses that tore through enemy ships before they could react. Ethan had never commanded a vessel this powerful, yet he felt completely in tune with it. Human. Unpredictable. Effective, Titanus repeated, almost as if impressed. Hours passed in a tense ballet of attacks and evasions. Ethan and Titanus moved as one, a single entity capable of anticipating, countering, and overwhelming multiple threats simultaneously. The alien fleet, sophisticated as it was, struggled to adapt to tactics that defied standard logic. During a brief lull, Ethan studied the battle display. He noticed a larger ship at the center of the enemy formation, a command vessel heavily shielded and bristling with weapons. Taking out that ship would cripple the fleet, but it was risky. The command ship's firepower could destroy Titanus if they made a wrong move. "We have one chance," Ethan muttered. "Titanus, we take out the command ship. Then the rest will scatter." The ship hummed, lights flickering in anticipation. "Human, your plan? Dangerous, but logical. I trust you." Ethan directed energy from Titanus's core into a single, focused weapon array. He used the ship's massive mass to create a kinetic advantage, firing a concentrated beam that pierced multiple layers of shields. The command vessel shuddered under the attack, its hull glowing red with damage. The aliens reacted immediately, targeting the beam with countermeasures and launching swarms of interceptors. Ethan had anticipated this. Using Titanus's agility, unimaginable for its size, he shifted the ship's mass to redirect energy and deflect attacks. The beam maintained focus, striking again and again until the command ship's shields failed completely. With a final surge, Titanus fired a decisive blast, reducing the command vessel to debris. The rest of the fleet, now leaderless, faltered. Ethan guided Titanus in a series of calculated maneuvers, using speed and firepower to scatter the remaining ships. Within moments, the enemy had fled, leaving Titanus floating victorious in the silent void. Lyra's voice was filled with awe. "Ethan, you did it." "I can't believe it," Ethan exhaled slowly. "We did it, Titanus." "Amazing work." The ship pulsed in response, almost as if smiling. "Human. We survived. Together. Effective. Together. Strong." Ethan walked through the control chamber, surveying the systems. Titanus had proven its power in battle, but it was more than a weapon. It was alive, thinking, learning, and forming a partnership with him. The bond between human and ship was unique, something even the most advanced alien civilizations could not replicate. But Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would take notice. Word of a human commanding a Titanic superweapon would spread, and not all would be friendly. He turned to the navigation console. We need to get out of this sector before more enemies arrive. Titanus, can you sustain a jump to hyperspace? The ship pulsed its readiness. Human engines stable, hyperspace possible. But an alert, many eyes, tracking us. Ethan nodded. Then we move fast and quiet. Let's head toward the neutral system near Orion Rift. We can regroup there and plan our next steps. As Titanus powered up its hyperdrive, Ethan took a moment to reflect. He had started as a mechanic, a human skilled with tools and intuition. Now he was a commander, guiding a living starship that had been abandoned for centuries. His decisions had made the difference between survival and destruction. The journey to the neutral system was tense. Titanus's sensors picked up distant fleets, curious observers, and scattered patrols. Ethan had to keep the ship cloaked as much as possible, relying on Titanus's intelligence to avoid detection. The ship's AI began sharing insights, analyzing enemy patterns, and suggesting routes that minimized risk. Human, your instincts. Precise, you understand patterns in chaos, Titanus said. Ethan smiled faintly. Instincts and experience. Humans survive by seeing what others don't. We improvise. The calm of hyperspace gave Ethan a chance to explore more of Titanus's internal systems. He walked through the corridors, examining control rooms, maintenance shafts, and even areas that appeared residential. Though abandoned for centuries, the ship had personal touches, alien designs that suggested pride, artistry, and intelligence. Titanus was not just a weapon. It was a creation meant to endure, to think, and to protect. You care for me, the ship said suddenly. Its voice was softer, almost curious. Human, why? Ethan stopped and looked at the glowing panels. Because you're alive. You reached out when no one else could understand. And because humans value life, even machines if they think and feel. Titanus pulsed with a deep resonance. Human, unique. My sensors. I cannot predict others, but you. You are different. I follow you willingly. Ethan felt a sense of pride and responsibility. He had earned the trust of a superweapon older than most civilizations. And that trust was not given lightly. It had to be respected, nurtured, and protected. The shuttle carrying Lyra and the rest of the crew docked with Titanus. She entered the control chamber, awe written across her face. Ethan, I've never seen anything like this. It's alive, and it listens to you, Ethan nodded. It's more than alive. It's learning, it's thinking with me. And if we do this right, Titanus can be a protector, not just a weapon. Lyra frowned slightly. A protector, or a target. The galaxy won't ignore this. Anyone who hears about Titanus will come after it. And after us, Ethan sighed. I know, but that's why we're going to prepare. We'll strengthen the systems, map safe routes, and be ready for anything. Titanus and I, we can face threats no one expects. The ship pulsed in agreement. Human together. Strong, but must train. Must adapt. Threats increase. Ethan chuckled softly. Adaptation. That's what humans do best. We survive where others fail. And you, Titanus, are going to help me do it on a galactic scale. As they approached the neutral system, Ethan used the downtime to continue repairs. Some systems had suffered minor damage during the battle, and others were still incomplete. He moved through maintenance corridors, his tools and human intuition guiding him. Titanus responded to his adjustments in real time, adapting systems as he worked, and even offering suggestions in alien coding patterns that he could understand. Hours turned into days. The crew took shifts, resting in safe zones while Titanus maintained full operational readiness. Every repaired panel, every calibrated system, every stabilized conduit reinforced the bond between human and starship. Ethan was no longer just a mechanic. He was a partner, a commander, and a guide for a being that had outlasted entire civilizations. One night, while observing the stars from Titanus's observation deck, Ethan felt the enormity of what he had accomplished. You're incredible, he said softly, and the galaxy has no idea what's coming. Titanus pulsed, its lights reflecting in the viewport like stars echoing their own. Human, incredible together. Prepare, others, We'll come, but fear not, I follow you, Ethan smiled. Good. Then we'll face them together. And for the first time in centuries, Titanus truly felt alive, not just as a relic of war, but as a sentient, powerful being connected to a human it trusted completely. The galaxy would soon learn that humans could achieve what no alien civilization could. Not just revive a superweapon, but command it with ingenuity, courage, and heart. The neutral system shimmered in the distance, a quiet collection of stars and planets untouched by war. For Ethan Calder and Titanus, it felt like a brief sanctuary after the chaos of battle. The alien fleet had been driven back, scattered into the void, but the human mechanic knew it was only a matter of time before more threats arrived. The galaxy rarely let a power like Titanus remain hidden for long. Ethan, Lyra said as she docked the shuttle with Titanus. This system is neutral, yes, but that doesn't mean it's safe. News of Titanus spreads fast. If anyone hears about a human controlling a starship of this size, they'll come. Ethan nodded, scanning the holographic map of nearby star lanes. I know, but we need time to repair, strengthen, and plan. Titanus is powerful, yes, but raw power isn't enough. Strategy, preparation, and adaptability. That's what will keep us alive. Titanus pulsed in agreement, its lights shimmering along the corridors. Human, wise, preparation. Necessary, I follow your lead. The first task was simple in theory but enormous in scale: repair and upgrade. Titanus's hull, though functional, bore the scars of centuries of neglect and recent battle. Panels and conduits had to be restored, systems recalibrated, and weapons refined. Ethan moved through the corridors carrying tools and replacement modules, his mind always active, calculating, improvising. Titanus responded in real time, adjusting internal systems, offering suggestions in the hybrid code that only a human could interpret. This section of the shield matrix is unstable, Ethan muttered. We need to reroute auxiliary power. He worked quickly, rerouting energy through the ship's core while Titanus adapted automatically, balancing flow and maintaining operational integrity. Lights shifted, conduits glowed brighter, and the hum of the ship grew steadier. You, human, efficient, I learn from you, Titanus said. Ethan smiled faintly. And I learn from you, together. We're better than either of us alone. Days turned into weeks as they worked. Titanus's systems improved beyond even Ethan's initial understanding. Weapons fired faster, shields could absorb heavier bombardments, engines achieved higher speeds, and navigation systems adapted to unpredictable threats. Titanus was no longer just a relic of war. It was a fully integrated living warship. And Ethan was its commander, guiding it with human intuition and creativity that no alien mind could match. But their work was interrupted by a sudden alert. Long-range sensors detected a massive energy spike nearby. Ethan's heart tightened as he zoomed in on the display. An alien armada, larger and more organized than any they had encountered, was moving toward the neutral system. It wasn't a random patrol, this was a coordinated strike. They've found us, Lyra said softly, her eyes wide. It's not just curiosity anymore. They want Titanus, and you. Ethan's jaw set. Then we'll make sure they don't get it. He turned to Titanus, which pulsed in anticipation. We've come this far. Now it's time to show the galaxy what humans can do. The alien armada approached cautiously at first, testing defenses. Ethan used the opportunity to position Titanus strategically among asteroids and spatial anomalies in the system. The ship's massive hull and adaptive systems allowed it to use the terrain as cover while preparing a devastating counterattack. Human, tactical thinking. Impressive, I follow your plan, Titanus said. Ethan's mind raced. He had studied the fleet's patterns from the previous encounter. Predictable formations, coordinated but rigid, perfect for improvisation. He synchronized Titanus's weapons with his instincts, creating an unpredictable firing sequence. Energy beams split, converged, and ricocheted in ways designed to confuse the enemy. Turrets moved dynamically, shields adjusted constantly, and Titanus itself shifted like a living predator. The first wave of attackers fired. Shields flared brilliantly, absorbing impacts, and energy pulses struck back with precision. Ethan guided the ship through the chaos, improvising with every movement. The fleet, confident in their numbers, quickly found themselves disoriented, their formations breaking under Titanus's unexpected strategies. Human brilliance. Effective, Titanus said almost proudly. Ethan allowed himself a brief smile. This is only the beginning. The Armada responded with overwhelming force, sending massive cruisers forward. Titanus's size alone was intimidating, but Ethan knew brute strength wouldn't be enough. He directed the ship to target critical nodes, energy relays, and weapons platforms. Explosions rocked the enemy fleet, sending debris spiraling across the void. The alien ships tried to adapt, but Titanus, guided by Ethan, was always one step ahead. Hours of intense battle passed. Titanus had never operated at this level before, and neither had Ethan. Every decision mattered. Every action could turn the tide. But their partnership was flawless. Titanus anticipated his choices, balanced power dynamically, and executed maneuvers Ethan suggested with exacting precision. Finally, the command ship of the alien armada appeared, a massive vessel bristling with weapons and shields. Ethan recognized it immediately from his studies of alien fleets. This was the core of their operation. If they could take it down, the rest of the fleet would falter. Titanus pulsed almost impatiently. Human. Plan risky, but logical. I follow, Ethan nodded. Then we do it. He guided Titanus in a complex maneuver using the ship's massive size and energy manipulation to create openings. Shields flared, energy surged, and weapons fired with deadly precision. The command vessel staggered under the attack, its shields failing in concentrated areas. Titanus pressed forward, following Ethan's instructions exactly. A final devastating energy beam tore through the enemy ship. The command vessel shuddered violently and exploded, sending shockwaves across the surrounding fleet. Chaos erupted. The alien ships, now leaderless, scattered in all directions. Ethan and Titanus had not just survived. They had decisively defeated a fleet far larger than themselves. Lyra's voice trembled over comms. Ethan, I can't believe it. You did it! Ethan allowed himself a deep breath. We did it, Titanus. Amazing work. The ship pulsed, lights reflecting across the control room. Human together. Victorious, I am yours to command. Ethan walked through the corridors, examining the ship. Every system responded to his presence. Titanus was alive, not just as a weapon, but as a partner. He could feel its intelligence, trust, and loyalty, and he knew that humanity's ingenuity had made all the difference. You, humans, remarkable, Titanus said softly. I'd never imagined. Beings could think, adapt. Like you, Ethan smiled faintly. We survive by thinking differently, by seeing what others don't, by taking risks. And sometimes, we trust when others wouldn't. As the galaxy watched in silence, Titanus pulsed with life, a testament to what humans could achieve. They had revived a superweapon, not through force or domination, but through intelligence, creativity, and courage. Ethan realized that this partnership symbolized more than just survival. It represented humanity's potential to overcome challenges that no one else could. In the following weeks, Ethan and Titanus patrolled the neutral system, repairing minor damages, testing capabilities, and training for future encounters. The galaxy began to notice. Reports of a human commanding a Titanic starship spread across sectors. Allies whispered of the mechanic who had awakened an ancient weapon, while enemies plotted their revenge. But Titanus, fully operational and loyal, was ready. Ethan often stood in the observation deck staring at the endless stars. He thought of the countless civilizations that had risen and fallen, the fleets that had chased and failed to capture Titanus, and the legacy humanity was building. Titanus pulsed beside him, lights shimmering like stars in response. You're incredible, Ethan said softly. And the galaxy has no idea what's coming. Human. Legacy was strong, Titanus replied. Together, we shape future. Others will come, but I follow, Ethan nodded. Good, then we'll face them together, and we'll show the galaxy what humans can do. The neutral system became a hub for their operations. Ethan upgraded Titanus further, improving sensors, enhancing shields, and optimizing weapons. Every improvement made the ship stronger, more adaptive, and more alive. And every adjustment reinforced the bond between human and starship, a partnership that no alien technology could replicate. Word spread across human colonies. Stories of the human mechanic who revived a Titanic superweapon inspired awe and hope. Humanity had proven that even in a galaxy filled with ancient and advanced civilizations, They could rise through ingenuity, courage, and determination. One day, as Ethan walked the corridors of Titanus, he paused before a glowing panel. The ship's energy pulsed gently, almost contemplatively. "You, human extraordinary," Titanus said. "I am alive because of you. I serve humanity together, future." Ethan placed his hand on the console. "You're more than a weapon, Titanus. You're alive, and together, we'll protect the galaxy, not conquer it. That's what makes humans human." Titanus pulsed in agreement. Lights shifted across the corridors, illuminating the vast internal spaces. "Human, my legacy, your legacy, intertwined together. Unstoppable." Ethan looked out at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before him, full of mysteries, dangers, and possibilities. And now, with Titanus awakened, humanity had a force unlike any other. One mechanic, one ship, one human spirit had changed the balance of power.